Well, we're back here for part 2. Chris is going to show us one of his big paintings. Okay, now we're going to see if Chris can actually move this thing. Oh! Okay, everyone take note. This is where you actually... Oh, you're going to need some help? I'm just a cinematographer. Wow! And this has got to be 12 feet tall?
It's about 11, I think.
11.
This is one of the James Brown paintings.
You know, you were also, you've been in a series of shows. I saw you in a couple of shows at PS1 in the last year and a half. I think Painted World was one. Something else. And then you were in a couple of shows in Chelsea this summer. I think there was a Kalm report that had 2 shows almost side by side that you were in. One of them was with a Alfred Jensen sculpture that I thought was great.
Oh, that was a piece. That was great. Yeah.
He said this is a James Brown painting, huh?
There's a James Brown record in here.
In memory of James Brown, the Godfather of Soul, 1934 to 2006.
I've been putting his records. This is an Ain't It Fucking Funky record. I grew up in Washington, D.C., so I grew up with James as my man. Listening to Black radio.
I feel good.
Yeah. So good. So there's a lot of paintings that have the records in the painting. It kind of helps to have James in the painting.
This is actually also kind of an example of your black and white work.
Yeah, this is kind of a pretty much of a death painting too. A sort of spiky bone, black night, sort of a night painting, I think.
How's your back doing?
Oh, I'm okay. This is another James Brown memorial. Here he's kind of disappearing into the night.
He was an incredible influence on American music and culture, I'll tell you.
Absolutely. He's really kind of the reason I became a painter. I was 14 years old, and I had Mashed Potato Popcorn record, and I played it over and over and over again, and I was doing tempera paintings, copies of Picasso's basically, and listening to James Brown, and drinking Coca-Cola, and there was a moment listening to James Brown, high on sugar, looking at Picasso, and I thought, oh, this is it. This is a good gig.
This is where my future lies, huh?
This is where my future lies. So when James Brown died last year, I felt a surprising amount of emotion. I realized it was really like losing this serious father figure and influence. So I took all my records and started cutting them up and putting them into the paintings. And then I went out and bought more records and put them in the painting, more paintings.
Here's a couple of smaller pieces.
This painting has pom-poms in it.
Yeah, fluorescent pom-poms. That's nice. How many paintings are you going to have in the show? Any idea?
I don't know. You know,
They've got a nice sized gallery. You could probably really
it'll take a lot of paintings.
Stretch out there and open up and
see what.
You're going to have any big pieces in the show? Yeah, this is nice. This almost recalls some of your mushroom pieces.
Yes, it's definitely this plant, sort of goofy plant life coming off the horizon line.
I think I've actually referred to you in some of the Kalm reports as the mushroom boy. So, you have a intimate personal relationship with mushrooms, or is that in the past now, or?
It's something that I keep a connection to. Yes.
Okay.
Mushrooms have things to teach us, definitely. That's the Jensen brothers.
Here's an Alfred Jensen drawing. That's beautiful. Season's greetings from Regina and Alfred. This is my props to Regina. And then we've got a Bill Jensen above. You've got quite a collection there, Chris.
It's not necessary.
I'm going to look at a bread painting. Oh, gee, that looks like a whole loaf.
Yeah, that's Wonder Bread. It's really a landscape painting.
Did you show this at Sideshow?
This one hasn't been seen. I showed some. There's a bread painting that was sold in Los Angeles, and this is a newer one.
Now you've actually got this coated with acrylic gel, and then you...
Acrylic gel and then a Galkid fluorescent powder mixture.
That's quite a sandwich.
Hey, I live making sandwiches. It was only a matter of time before that shape.
Haven't put any mayonnaise in them yet.
Here's some newer paintings. This is a Santana painting. It has Santana records.
We were also talking about your appreciation for outsider art and the whole question of authenticity. That's kind of a very important issue these days, don't you think?
Well, the issue of authenticity is very important, and one finds authenticity sometimes in very unlikely places. And so I'm learning a lot about African American painters from the rural South, people like Dial, Purvis Young in Miami. Lonnie Holly's a great painter and sculptor from Atlanta. Joe Light, great artist. Oh, here's a James Brown painting
on an album cover.
on an album cover. Take a look at those cakes.
Oh, take a look at those cakes. Okay.
James had some problems with women, no question.
And a few other things, but that's what made him interesting.
He was a real person, not a saint. Oh, here's a mushroom painting, a recent one.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely the mushrooms.
A bad 1912 analytic cubist painting of psilocybin mushrooms.
Well, if you're going to do cubism, you better do it bad, as I always say.
This is a piece of sponge rubber.
Mounted on a wood panel, huh?
Yeah, they were fixing the forklift and these pieces of foam came off. Oh, here's another bread painting.
Okay, more bread.
Now this is rye bread, and
Kosher rye?
I think it's kosher rye, and I had a harder time working with rye bread. It doesn't soak
It is
up.
a much more demanding medium, I think.
It doesn't soak up the gel medium as well as Wonder Bread. I mean, Wonder Bread is half plastic anyway, so it's not much of a transition to use it as a painting material.
He said part of this was eaten by mice?
This part was eaten by mice. You know, I had it up in the studio. I was sleeping back here at night, and I'd hear this gnawing. I was going, what is that sound? And finally, I realized they were getting up on the wall.
Even they're eating it with the paint on it and everything
Well,
else,
then
too?
I would put more, I learned to put more gel on the paintings. Otherwise, the mice will eat away the surface and get to the bread.
But they wouldn't touch the Wonder Bread.
Oh, here's some mushroom paintings. Here's a mushroom painting from 2004.
Okay. And more mushrooms.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot, Chris, for our little preview of the upcoming exhibition.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
And we want to get everybody to drop by and see this again at Mitchell Inness Nash
Opens January 26th.
on West 26th Street, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Chris.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Kate. Yeah, that's real art.
Yeah.